Good morning, everyone. It's the one and only notorious, glorious V, the Gorilla Economist, coming to you live with my main man, CJ, aka the master of the flux capacitor. We give you the news, the views, and all the information important to you. Check us out on roguenews.com. Follow us on Twitter at realroguenews. There's no dot. This is at Real Rogue News on Twitter. And also check us out on Steam, DTube, and every single other podcasting app known to humanity. Also check out our sponsors. I'm doing a lot of It's only Tuesday, CJ. I don't know what the hell's going on with me. It's one of these weeks. All right, check out our
You
sponsors,
got this, bro.
mycbdedibles.com, folks. Now is a great time for the rest of this week. If you hit Rogue, if you type in our Rogue, ROGUE at checkout, you're gonna get a 30% discount, friends and family discount. Over at mycbdedibles.com. And folks, whether you want to try out that delicious CBD coffee, the chocolate peanut butter Buckeyes, the pecan almond coconut truffles, anything you want to try out, an amazing product line, 99.99% pure CBD isolate infused directly into the product, stabilized and baked. It is absolutely delicious. Check it out, mycbdedibles.com. Coupon code ROGUE for 30% off. And also, guys, check out the cryptoschool.io, the cryptoschool.io, whether you want to have a video education series telling you exactly how cryptocurrencies work, or you're ready to trade, go to the Watchers Trade Room and get it done. They are accepting cryptocurrency payments now, 3-month and 6-month crypto payments in BTC and Bitcoin, of course. So take your winnings and your earnings and go pay for your membership. Also, check out remaincalm.net, remaincalm.net. If you're facing collections issues or whatnot, you got debt problems, remaincalm.net. With that all out of the way, CJ, what's crack-a-lacking, brother?
Hey, good morning, V. Yeah, doing great. Want to make sure our listeners take advantage of that discount offer. That's our best discount, by the way, for our friends and family. And I told you, V, it was like a week ago. I said, hey, I'll get something set up. We'll do it better than last time. So so make sure you take advantage of that in a Rogue at checkout and get 30% off. So I'm excited to offer that to our listeners.
That's awesome, man. That is good stuff. Siege, a lot of things are happening. A lot of things going on. Where do you want to begin, bro?
Well, outside of all the distractions with, Trump's former lawyer, Rudy Giuliani out there on the stump, there's so many distractions, everything, V, but some interesting news is going on. Let's take it right from the top.
Absolutely, my man. There's a recent report, folks, that was put out by Morgan Stanley. That's from our buddies over at Zero Hedge. The selling has just begun. This correction will be the biggest since February. A lot of people are saying market collapse, market collapse. Here comes the market collapser, CJ. It's going to be March 24th. The market was supposed to collapse. Then April 1st, the market was supposed to collapse. Friday the 13th, the market was supposed to collapse. And now Morgan Stanley, at the same time as Morgan Stanley's institutional traders were warning that the current tech sell is different this time, warning that you can't have a $100 billion loss in a well-held name and not have collateral damage. And this is again BS. This is the drill they're giving out to you guys. I'm gonna tell you the real agenda behind this so-called FUD, this fear-mongering that's going on in the marketplace, and what it really means. This is going to be completely different from what you're used to. This is going to be completely different from what most of the economic purveyors have been speaking for quite some time. Here's a difference here, okay? They're saying, look, Facebook took a $120 billion bath. You can't have that without collateral damage and the tech sell-offs and all this other stuff. The performance of HF longs based on 13F holdings shows that the last few weeks have been a negative 2% standard deviation loss event. I love when they use big words and obscure terminology with alphanumeric numbers and letters thrown in there for a good mix to make you sound really confused, make you feel confused, make you feel like, damn, I don't even know what the hell they're talking about. What do you mean the HF longs based on 13F holdings and the negative 2 standard deviation loss event? Wow. And then they follow up with words after saying all this gobbledygook because they are, after all, folks, the initiates. They are, after all, the Wizards of Oz. and you're just the dumb Toto dog. Now, we're not the dumb Toto dog. You see, folks, they looked at us like we're the dumb Toto dog. But the dumb Toto dog is what ran behind the curtain and pulled the curtain down, exposing who the Wizard of Oz is. Okay? So listen to the Wizards of Oz, the Wizards of Wall Street, right? These guys who right now the system is so automated. These morons could, you could have a blind man throw darts at a stock chart on a wall and have better picks than most of these traders. That's how rigged the market is. That's how automated the market is. Most people come up to me and again, consult your own investment advice, blah, 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 yakety schmackety. And this is for entertainment purposes only, like my man Cowboy always says. But I'll tell you right now, when most people, like friends or family, come up to me, hey, V, what the hell should I do? Blah, blah, blah. I got a 401k. What should I do to roll it over? I'm like, dude, just set it and forget it. Throw it in an index fund. You can't lose. You can't lose. So now there's like a little downturn. Now all of a sudden it's blood in the street, and oh my God, it's a sell-off. Market crash is coming. New world disorder upon us. Blah, 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 blah. Mike Wilson from Morgan Stanley's chief U.S. equity strategist. Mike Wilson has harsher words. The selling has just begun, and this correction will be the biggest since the one we've experienced in February. The reason for that is the same one Nomura discussed on Friday. Quote, the most important trade of the past decade is now reversing, namely the reversal of the growth value, which has also commingled with the, quote, momentum trade, ABD, which means that the growth/tech market leadership that defined the market for the past decade is now gone. At least for the time being. It's gone. The reason for that is simple. After the stock prices of the tech stocks got carried away in the first half of their earnings, the Q2 earnings, even though that the most part significant beat to expectations left the market asking for more, leading to such historic blow-ups as Facebook and Twitter, in the process of crippling the momentum trade and forcing numerous unwinds. This, to Morgan Stanley, suggests that the risks to the stock rally are building, and with growth rates peaking and extending position, the 3-day slide that started Thursday will only get worse. Friday finally showed signs of a market exhaustion with Amazon's stronger quarter out of the way and a very strong second quarter GDP. Investors were finally faced with a question, what do I look forward to now? Oh my God. Oh my God, TJ, what are they going to do now? The most important trade of the decade, which is the growth value in tech, is gone. Exactly. Folks, my man Dex said it best. You could have a 10,000 point sell-off. You could have a 5,000 point sell-off in the market, and it'll still be a bull market. You could have a 5,000 point sell-off, a 5,000 point drop in the market, and it's still a bull market. Fact number one. Fact number two, folks, here's the deal. Do you honestly think in the world of high-frequency trading, where stock positions are moved in and out of 10,000 times in a millisecond, do you honestly think that earnings of a company means much of anything? Do you think earnings of a company meant anything to Tesla 6 months ago when their stock was over $185? Do you think it meant anything for a company like Amazon, which does not turn a profit except for one sector of its entire business? Do you think the earnings mean anything for a company like Apple, which they just make money off of one product? They suck in cloud. They suck in AI. They suck in machine learning. They're starting to suck big time in computers. They have one SKU called an iPhone that they make money on, and they're the most valuable company in America. Woo! Do you think we are living in the world of reality? Do you? Because I'll tell you right now that in the world of reality, none of these all these companies would have been purged out and bankrupted a long time ago. But we're not living in that world, are we? We're living in the world of the fictitious. We're living in the world of the make-believe. We're living in the land of make-believe, folks. Nothing makes sense, and everything that makes sense is evil and bad. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So this whole thing, or what they're saying, it's a tech sell-off, and the biggest thing, a correction. All it is just resetting the market for another high. Resetting the market for another high. I'm going to have Dex come on later today, probably at 2 o'clock, to talk about and discuss this, because let me tell you something, folks, okay? Whatever there again, wealth is never destroyed. It is always transferred from weaker to stronger hands. So people, especially those the bottom 90 some odd percent of Morgan Stanley's clients, are going to crap the bed and they're going to sell. They're going to sell. Morgan Stanley's top 10% of clientele are going to buy because they got a completely different memo. Did you know that? Did you know that? You didn't know that, did you? Oh yeah. Yeah. That's exactly how it works. Same thing with Goldman. Goldman puts out a report, and biggest sell-off ever. Get ready. And their top 1%, their top 3 or 5% of their clients are ready to buy while everybody else is selling. It's the same old trick. Ain't nothing new. Ain't nothing new whatsoever, folks. It's the same old trick. It's the same old trick. But what's going to happen with the Fudsters? The Fudsters are going to crank this up to level 12. They're going to work the market into a tizzy, and they're going to have like idiots standing in front of a camera on YouTube and other stations, holding up signs and saying that according to these charts right here, the market's going to collapse on August the 3rd. That is going to be this Thursday, I believe. The entire market's going to go imploding. It's going to go imploding. Yes, by Friday. It's going to go belly up. That's it. Folks, I've been telling you when the market was 15,000 points, I was one of the few clarion voices saying that Dow's going to go to 20,000. Then I said the Dow's going to go to 25,000. And I'm the only one that's, apart from me and Dex, we're the only ones calling for Dow 29,000. Here we come. Get the t-shirts ready, folks. I'm also the only one to tell you, folks, that, hey, you know what? You're going to have economic prosperity, but when the whole ride is over, okay, the market's going to implode up. It's going to implode up. People don't understand what that means. Okay, we are facing some economic situations. There's a lot of variables at play, so sometimes the scenarios get changed around a little bit. But apart from all the scenarios being changed around a little bit, one scenario is true: this market's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. You're going to have corrections like this. At the end of the day, it's not going to matter. And what is the best way to hide inflation? Where's the best way to hide? You stick it into something like this. You stick it into the Dow. What's the best way to hide the massive sell-offs of U.S. treasuries? What's the best way to hide it? Well, you stick it in something like this. What's the best way to stabilize the bond market? You get mostly investors out of the bond market, relieve some of the pressure, slow down the trades, get everybody into an equity position in the stock market. Bum, bum, bum. But how can you do that when the stock market's still high? Well, you offer a correction. You do a correction where the market comes down a little bit lower, and then you jump in with the big boys and the big sharks and the big investors, and they start making money on the way up on the churn, baby, the churn. Rinse, wash, rinse, repeat, folks. Wash, rinse, repeat. I've said this back in 2017. Hell, I've even said this in the end of 2016. Ain't no market reset. Ain't no market crash. Nothing happening this year. Nothing happening this year. Nothing to see here. Keep on keeping on, folks. Keep on keeping on. Nothing is happening this year. That I promise you. That's what this whole entire Morgan Stanley report that everybody is having a tizzy over. You go to Bloomberg, that's all they're talking about. You're going to anywhere else, that's what they're talking about. The Morgan Stanley report is the massive sell-offs are here. And folks, do you honestly think the market is really predicated on profits and earnings? Do you honestly think that? Because if you do, I have a bridge in Brooklyn that I could sell you. Do you honestly think that any of these companies that are involved in insider trading, which is up 400%, or margin trading, which is up 600%, or stock buybacks, which is also up a ridiculous amount. Okay, I think that's also in the hundreds of the percentile points, hundreds and the hundreds of percents. Okay, do you honestly think that any of that has to do with profits and earnings? No, it's a rigged market. It's a rigged market. How else do you explain companies that don't make money that are blue chip stocks? How else do you explain companies that don't make money or are in the stock exchange to begin with? They're not a penny stock. They're traded on the Nasdaq. They're traded on the S&P. Like, how do you explain that? How do you explain that? Because we're not living in the land of normalcy. We're not living in the land where there's profits and earnings are taken into real consideration. Not living in that land anymore. Welcome to the world of make-believe. Welcome to high-frequency trading. That's how it works, folks. Siege, next up is a pretty interesting story here real quick, man. I did not know this, but I had to put this up there because, you know what? Especially with Jim William, he was on yesterday. Folks, if you missed it, go back and watch the video with Dr. Jim William. Great interview. A lot of things are covered. And
yeah,
also,
great interview. 2 hours long. 2 hours long.
Oh, yeah. We just let it rock.
2
Well, that's
hours
right.
now.
Amazon
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was on.
So we have George Bush's doctor, CJ. This is new surveillance video images released in the slaying of President George H.W. Bush's former doctor. Authorities in Houston have released several additional surveillance videos and images from their investigation into the brazen fatal shooting of the one-time doctor to the former president, George H.W. Bush. Cardiologist Mark Hausknecht, 65, was killed on June 20th in a residential neighborhood as he rode his bicycle in broad daylight. The shooter was also riding a bike when he rode past the doctor and turned and fired 2 shots, police said during a news conference later that day. In a post on the Houston Methodist Hospital's website, the president's CEO said Hausknecht has been heading to work when he was shot. Siege, of course, this is all coincidence, right, Siege?
Oh, yeah, it's a coincidence. Yeah, yep. Robert Bush dies, George H.W. Bush's doctor dies. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's coincidence that this guy, okay, happens to be riding his bike, in an affluent area of Houston, right? Riding his bike. This guy's a well-to-do doctor. This is his morning routine. He rides his bike to work. And what happens? Another cyclist just shows up, rides past him, turns around, pops 2 shots, kills him perfectly. Execution style. This is out of a movie, man. It's out of a movie. So the question becomes, what did the good doctor know? What did the good doctor know? That's the $1 billion question, folks. That's a question that we will never know. We'll never know that, Siege. I mean, how crazy is this? This is like out of a movie. He's riding his bike. He gets passed. Well, the cops say he was passed by another bicyclist when that bicyclist turned around and shot the guy 2 times. Incredible. Unreal. How do we know that?
It is.
It's complete insanity, CJ. It's complete insanity. That's the Bush body count is probably even greater than the Clinton body count at this point. Battle of the body counts. Anyway, folks, we have the famous Palestinian teen who was on video. This was months and months ago. Who was slapping the Israeli soldier who shot her cousin in the face, and she was on video, and she was released. Okay, this was the work done by Ray McGovern. When they left prison on Sunday, Ahmed Tamimi and her mother, Nariman, received a hard-earned hero's welcome from the Palestinians and others opposed to Israel's occupation and colonization of Palestinian lands seized in 1948 and enlarged by the Israeli army in 1967. Ahed was 16 years old last December when an Israeli soldier shot her cousin in the face. The next day, Israeli soldiers menacingly showed up at her house in the West Bank village of Nabi Saleh. What would you do? Ahed slapped one of the armed to the teeth soldiers, and while the Israeli politicians said she needs to be put away for life and others demanded a sentence of at least 10 years, the Israeli occupiers sentenced her to 8 months for the slap seen around the world. She spent her 17th birthday in prison. Her mother, Nariman, filmed the incident and was thrown in jail too, this time for incitement. It was not the activist Nariman's first time in an Israeli prison. Israeli authorities are so worried about the symbol of resistance that Ahed has become internationally that on Saturday, the day before her release, they arrested two Italian artists who had painted a large portrait of her on the separation wall near Bethlehem. Most Americans, except for the relatively few, have spent more than a few days in the Israeli occupied territories and find it hard to understand why Palestinians like Naiman and Ahad persist. Most people in the U.S. are blissfully unaware of the history of Palestine and of the continuing injustice inflicted on its people today. The explanation for this lies largely in the way the U.S. mass media reports the story, almost entirely from the Israelis' viewpoint. And for those malnourished on establishment media, there's a bit of history without which it is impossible to understand the anger and the courage against all odds shown by those who continue to use what they have, even their open palms, to make it clear that they will never acquiesce to Israeli occupation. So that girl has been released, CJ. She's the one who was famous for slapping the Israeli soldier. And the entire Middle East is just a giant cluster mess. A cluster mess that again shows us, CJ, that it is a test tube verification of what happens when organized religion and craziness runs amok, bro. You know what? You know what's often forgotten, man, is the humanity. Okay, there's people that pick sides. There are people that pick the Israeli side, people that pick the Palestinian side, and the problem is nobody picks the human side.
Right.
You see, the whole entire Arab-Israeli conflict is a globalist created artificial construct. I know the history very well. I know what happened. I know how it was, the bombings of the whole entire thing is a cluster mess. And what has happened here, folks, and it doesn't matter at this point. Do you understand? It doesn't matter at this point what the history is. The only hope for a solution in the Palestinian-Israeli conflict is that the younger generation is able to move past their grievances. It is terrible what is happening. There's a lot of injustice. There's hatred on both sides. And the casualty here inside this entire conflict is the loss of humanity. The loss of humanity because one person is of one tribe, another person is of another tribe. Genetically, most of them are related to begin with. There's a lot of overlap. But because of some religious works, because of a colonization project set off by European elites, because of so many other issues that are under the surface, it has become a cluster mess. And humanity's lost in the process. The only solution, folks, is prosperity, is economics, is the next generation coming together and trying to eke out an existence, trying to make men's meet. Palestine wasn't always like that. You see, before the terrorist attacks started happening in the late 70s and 80s and whatnot, Palestine, the quote-unquote territories, were very economically prosperous. Most people wouldn't know that. Very economically prosperous. Most people wouldn't know that the PLA is, in fact, a globalist proxy arm. It was designed for dissension. It was designed to create rift. Everywhere you look where the globalists create these artificial constructs and these artificial problems, you see the Hegelian dialectic at play. And I think as humanity, I mean, for the love of God, it's not 1948 anymore. It's 2018. Can we please move forward? It's ridiculous. It really is, man. It really is. Anyway,
Well
Siege,
said there.
what else you
Well
want to cover,
said.
man? Because that's all I got. Short day today.
Yeah, no, that's it. Again, make sure to go back if you have not listened to the interview that V did yesterday with Jim Willie. It was absolutely spectacular. Tons of great comments coming in. It's trending great. So go listen to it. And it's even kind of personal a little bit with Jim. I think he opened up a little bit for our audience. So I really appreciate the interview that you did with him, V. So thank you.
Absolutely, man. Check it out. It's 2 hours of Willie time. You're gonna love it. And we also did our trade show yesterday. We had Jay Snip on. It was pretty cool. It was awesome. Good time there. So check that video out as well. And with that being said, folks, we're gonna have Dex on later today. We are over and we're out.